Do you have to take your shirt off?
Yeah. Oh! Deeper.
You don't want to have an ego when it comes to a personality. Like he has a great ranking and it's impossible to beat him. But what up, Polly?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm all right, baby.
Yeah?
Sweating already.
Yo, we're back with another walkie-talkie. I got Austin Augie here.
My man.
Augie, introduce yourself for anybody that doesn't know who you are. Give a little elevator speech and let them know what you do.
Okay. My name is Austin Augie. I am a photographer. I was a long-time vlogger for a long time back, 6 years ago or so. I did some modeling. I was a professional BMX rider. I do a little bit of painting. I try to have my hands in all little things. I play ping pong sometimes. I live here in New York City, and it's just trying to find happiness is really what we're on right now.
If you had to place your photography into a specific genre, I know you're kind of do a lot of different things, but like what?
I knew you were gonna ask that, man.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about that genre of categorization of street photography, right? I really can't stand that because I feel like when you categorize yourself, it puts you in one place. I don't want to be in one place. I would rather I'm just a photographer. I document life, whether it be in my studio with high fashion, still life. If I'm in Iceland or places that have really beautiful landscape, I'll shoot landscape. It all depends on what life is giving me, And in New York City, realistically, what you get here is the fucking action and the people. So in New York, usually I'm shooting on the streets. Not street photography, but I'm just documenting photojournalism. Yeah, this place is just giving all times. Like, look at this guy pulling all those suits over there. You see him? It's like you might not be the greatest image, but even that moment there of just pushing those suits. If you have ADHD like I do, your eyes are just like capturing and capturing and capturing. So, yeah, I don't really try to categorize myself as any sort of type of photographer. I don't want to put myself into a bubble, you know what I mean?
Let's go show them what you do.
Yeah, look at this guy. He's great. So we have the Texas Leica today, and we have the contacts. I was kind of figuring out what I wanted to do with you today, and I was like, I usually only shoot Tri-X and Portra. So I figured I'd just do the two, one Portra, one Tri-X. Both 120/35.
How do you decide between black and white and color?
There really is no kind of deciding. Those are kind of my two main film stocks is Portra and Tri-X. And in terms of pricing, Tri-X is always cheaper. We all know the film cost complaints that we could talk about all day, but I'm not going to do that.
Is there any situation, or has there been any situation where you've had black and white and we're like, fuck, I wish I had color.
Nah, never, man. Honestly, I wish I always had black and white because it's timeless, And in this day and age too, man, look on this block how many colors there are. And if you're into that type of shit, more power to you. I just don't have the eye that sees all the color at one time. I feel like all the color is just like blending into one big blotch of. See, that would have been a color, to be honest. You saw the brightness of it. See, we just answered the question. Yep. We're kind of in a dull area at the moment. Hello.
Hello.
Are you live streaming?
Yeah, live stream.
Nice.
Yeah.
He's got like 2,000 live watchers right now.
2,000 live watchers?
Yeah, around 2,000. Not 2,000.
Do you have to take your shirt off?
Yeah. Oh! Nipper.
Yeah.
Nice nipper.
I was trying to match his image. Wow. Like, those are the type of photos, right? And like 20 years from now, will have some sort of relevance. Like right now, I don't feel like that's like that great of an image. But like seeing someone live stream themselves with a Pikachu hat on, like, I'm also incredibly worried that what if we don't get any good images? Because like Martin Parr said it best. He's like, he'll shoot a million images and maybe 2 of them will be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it used to eat me alive, man, when I'd go out and get a rolls back and be like, man, I got like 0 good photos out of 6 rolls. But then when I heard Martin Parr say that, I was like, oh, okay. So it's not just me, it's the fucking gods that are saying it too, you know?
So I feel like you're well known for like all of your vlogging days, the BMX days. When was like the interest in photography? Like when did that kind of like introduce itself into your persona and like what you do and who you want to be online?
It was a kind of a struggle to be able to get that kind of preconceived notion of, okay, model, vlogger, BMXer, now photographer, right? Because that's a hard thing to kind of get people to wrap their head around. And it took about 4 or 5 years to really transition from being, okay, Augie's a vlogger, Augie's a professional bike rider, and now it's like, people know me as a photographer. When my friends introduced me, like, Augie's a photographer. People on the streets now stop me and they're like, Augie, I bought your book. And that is like one of the most incredible feelings ever, to be known for your craft and for your work, than be known for your antics or your for this, which is such a fucking, we're just a shell, you know? And I didn't do YouTube to become a YouTuber, you know what I mean? I did YouTube so I could learn about cameras and tell a story. And then progressively through that kind of 4 year of making videos every day, I learned about photography. I started learning about storytelling that doesn't have to be video. You know, you could tell a story over a period of time shooting images. And then that's when I really started hopping into like going to photo bookstores and learning about photographers and learning about the people who really, you know, photos were the first motion picture, you know? Shooting images is like the closest thing I ever found to landing like a BMX trick. So if you go and like, say you go do a trick for 4 hours, right? And you finally land that trick, I kind of attribute that to getting a roll of film back and having one of those photos that you're like, God damn, it worked. And this has kind of been the only thing I've found that kind of get equivalent to having that sort of excitement without having to break bones. You know what I mean? I don't want to break any more bones.
You just got parents.
Holy shit. Holy shit. Hello. You know I gotta ask you for a portrait. What's your name, Mama? Can I shoot your portrait right here?
This one.
Yeah, can I turn you this? Oh.
No flash.
No flash, no flash.
It's okay.
Give me this.
No.
Okay, can you look my way real quick? Boom. We'll do one more. Anybody who would shoot photos normally, like, just would be like, that's a good image, right? We got the fucking mom with the parrots.
Yep.
That was a shit image, man. For me, I knew that image, the portrait I got was basic portrait, basic fucking image, because there was no storytelling, there was no action there. It was just a woman with parrots.
So a question I get a lot, especially when I like put out a prompt for questions.
Okay.
A lot of people ask like how to get a following or to get popular on different social media platforms.
Okay.
And as someone who's done that,
Okay.
what do you think about the popularity of that question or people trying to do that?
I think if that's your pursuit, right? If you're pursuing a numbers or a fame-driven type of aesthetic there, then you're creating a body of work, or you're creating work that's kind of pointless. Then, if your main concern is to gain a following, which I guess building a following is important, especially if you want to do this for a living and not have another job. It's really important to have a good following. But if your work is aesthetically pleasing and it's conceptual and it's strong, I mean, it'll come, you know, if you just share it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, my God, I can't stand it. People, how do I get Instagram followers or this and this? I mean, dude, just make work. Just, who cares about Instagram followers? Like, I'm so lucky that I sold my soul to the internet for fucking 3 years on YouTube to build my following, but I would not recommend that to many people because it's so mentally straining on your head, and it did a lot of damage to me, a lot of greatness. Like, I had a big ego death, right, when I did YouTube. You want to have a little bit of an ego. You want to have an ego with your work. You want to have an ego with your pursuit of your craft. You don't want to have an ego when it comes to your personality. Yeah, I don't think you should ever try to pursue the numbers.
So earlier you mentioned you like to dabble in a lot of, especially visual arts, like painting, filmmaking, obviously, and like now photography. How do you balance the kind of need to create in each of those verticals, and I guess more importantly, how do you grow, like balance the growth in each of those?
Yeah, that's a good question, Paulie. You know, the painting stuff is kind of new for me recently, just because I'm trying to. I live at my art studio with no. I have no shower. I have a bathroom and stuff, but it's very much like I'm living an artist's lifestyle. For me to make the most out of it, I decided I'm gonna make a piece of work every week in the studio. And that kind of keeps me busy at night, because I don't usually shoot at night. So I can put all my effort into that. And then with the filmmaking and photo stuff, the kind of balance there is with, usually I also have my video camera. Usually I'll go out and shoot video and photo at the same time. So I can kind of help share. I always wanted to figure out a way to share the way that I'm getting my images, kind of like how you're doing now, but from my point of view. At the beginning of it, it was all like, you know, how you can't get 50% of your effort to one thing and then 50% of the effort to the other thing, because then you're never going to be, you know, the greatest at that one thing. But I found that since I did YouTube for 4 years and filmed every day, way over 10,000 hours, is that now I can dedicate most of my time to photography and printing, learning, going to the bookstores and learning about the people who've done it before me. That's a super important thing to do, is learn about the people who've done it before us. You know what I mean? Like you were saying, Gary Winogrand, William Klein, I mean, dude, people have been walking these streets for fucking years now doing this shit. And I think learning about them is a good way to grow. The same look that I want. But this guy about to drive by with his cigarette should be a good one, I think. We'll see. I have a whole series of these guys. What would you do, Paulie, if that guy with the cigarette just turned around and beat my ass?
I'd record for a little bit.
No, dude, if that ever happens, you would let that happen, because I would shoot photos while he was.
As long as you shoot photos, I'm recording. So on the topic of, we talked about your BMX/YouTube days, and we just talked about maybe you get into a fight. You've gotten into a lot of shit through your BMX days. Some of that's well documented on YouTube.
Yep.
Like that time you were in a construction, whatever. How do you feel that experience of going through all that shit and like confrontation has helped your confidence, or maybe not confidence, in street photography or photography?
You know what? You would be surprised where this came from. It wasn't from BMX. It was from when I was a door-to-door salesman. When I was in high school, I joined the Army. And 2 weeks before I was supposed to get shipped out to my basic training, my friend, who was a door-to-door salesman for this company, he goes, Augie, listen, you talk a lot. You know, you could do good at this. And I was like, but bro, I'm going to the Army. He goes, well, quit the Army. And you can quit the Army as long as you don't go to basic training, right? So 2 weeks before before I was supposed to go to basic, I quit the Army and signed up for this door-to-door sales company with a bunch of Mormons out in Utah. You would have to go and knock on random people's doors. Rich white people, poor hood areas, you know, I would go to every area, Spanish areas, can't even speak English, and just try to get in their doors and sell them a security system. And, you know, overcoming that fear of just talking to random people, I think has been my biggest kind of advocate of why this is so easy for me now. Because nothing is as scary as knocking on a random person's door and trying to, you know, give them, you know, you have to run their credits. They have to give you your social security number. You have to get a voided check from them. So anything is much easier than those days.
Have you gotten to like a major confrontation, like taking pictures?
Yeah, actually, I'll send you. I'll not for photo, but last, you know, I think like 6 months ago, I was gonna do YouTube every day for 6 months. I didn't realize how hard that was gonna be, but I tried to do it again. And then one of the days, I was out documenting. I was shooting a scene in Chinatown, and this guy gets off his bike and takes a box cutter out. I had the video clip I'll send to you.
Hey, put your fucking knife away, bro. Hey!
But that wasn't from photos.
How did that Africa trip come about? For like people who haven't seen the videos or watched the series,
Well,
what can
you know,
like...
that series, man, I felt so, like putting it together, there's a couple times I cried during it, because I got invited to go to Africa to shoot this, my friend, his name's Chef Rose Traore, and he opened up an artist residency out there in the Ivory Coast. He opened up a restaurant, and I didn't know what I was getting into. You know, I thought Africa was gonna be this like sad, no one has water, starving kids. And the day that I got to the airport in Africa to transfer. One of the ladies saw my camera. She goes, "Oh, you shoot photos?" And I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Do me a favor. Do not make us look sad." And I didn't know what that meant at first. And she's like, "Just don't make us look sad, because this is a very happy place." And basically she was referring to all like the Arms of the Angel commercials we see in African children. And I was out there to document this hotel, which is on the beach, very like upscale-y. And so I show up, bro, in Ivory Coast. On this side is the French side. The beach side is owned by the French. Very well done, well put together. And then the poor side is owned by Africa. So I'm there working for this like pretty, well-established Rolex wearing chef. And then next door is the most like, pretty much the most like impoverished people I've ever seen. But those impoverished people were so fucking stoked and so happy with flat soccer balls and shanty huts. They were more happy than the guy that I was working for with the Rolex on his hand. So I was out there for 10 days and I was accepted in every place I went to, and I just felt overwhelmed with joy when I was there. And so I made a whole book called Out of the West. And that's all up for pre-orders at the moment.
So when you first went out there, the video series and the book wasn't even in your mind.
The video series was.
Okay.
But yeah, the book wasn't planned until after I got back and saw all the images. The people that I took photos of were just so welcoming, and they loved it. They loved me and I loved them, and it's hard to talk about, really, to understand like what profound effect if you go to Africa and understand like what we all seek here in Western worlds and Western civilizations, what we seek for and what we try to get. And when I went there, how much I learned about like having simplicity is pretty much everything, man. And I'll be going back to when the book is published to give the book to some of the families I documented while I was there. Sorry. I tried to get you mid-lick.
What was the first camera you used when you got into photography?
Point and shoots. But I used to walk around with just a plastic point and shoot in my hand like this.
Yeah.
Just wind it up, have my video camera here, and if I saw something, I just go, yeah, plastic point and shoots. I shot the running of the bulls this year. If you run with the bulls, you can't bring a camera in there with you. So I had to buy one of those Ilford Spree point and shoots, the reusable ones, hide it in my gooch. So I'm like in the middle of this, like the bulls are about to come. The bell goes off and I go, grab the camera and I just start fucking shooting these images.
Who's your favorite photographer?
William Klein.
What do you love about William Klein?
Just the beautiful work that he would produce in the studio, and then work that he would produce on the streets. It just, and the way he kind of mocked fashion with his filmmaking, right? He did like, "Who Are You, Miss Polly Magoo," which is kind of like a slight at like the pretentiousness to fashion and the kind of weirdness of it all.
Is there an image from William Klein that you think is just like...
There's this really famous street images of his. Any of his work in Japan was top tier. Any of his work in Rome was top tier. But there's this one, and I'm sure you know it, it's this kid's holding a toy gun like this. That's really his most like well-known image. I don't find it as strong as some of his Japanese work. His Japan stuff was just so incredible. Hello. Can I get one more photo of you? Your hat looks great with the Empire State Building right here.
Sure, all right.
Yeah, just look down at me, just like that. Yep, just like that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too. Oh, he fucking smiled weird. So we got, the first one might have been good, but he wasn't ready for it. But I think it focused on the, don't buy a G2. No one on this channel buy a G2.
What's something you're struggling with right now, photography-wise?
Yeah, I was about to say. Life in general is a struggle out here though, man. Like, it's a hard question because, I'm dealing with a lot of, I put my heart and soul into this craft, man. It's all I want to do for the rest of my life. And I can't go and get another job. Like, I can't do that again. I've done it before. and I can't go 2 steps back. So the hardest part right now is persevering through the pursuit of what I've chosen, and persevering through the struggles and the hurdles. Because trying to pursue your dreams and passions and not live for somebody else's dream and live your own dream comes a lot of fucking hurdles, man. You gotta step over a lot of shit. So my biggest pain right now is trying to stay motivated enough and see this shit through, no matter what the I love this actually. No matter what the outcome is. You know, also with my YouTube channel, trying to figure out what to do with that. I would fucking love to just be working as a traveling photojournalist. Like, that's really the dream. Like, I want to be in, like, I need to be in Bangladesh showing people how shirts are made and shit like that. But that's something the YouTube channel could give me also, which is hard to kind of figure out.
So you kind of touched on this as we walked through K-Town. What's your end goal with this? Like, what are you hoping to achieve with your photography?
To have a body of work that showcases the time that I was alive. You know, there's really not. I don't understand why most of us do this, right? Because a lot of the times we're spending money on films to shoot photos, right? And it's like, I don't know, man. There's something to the artistry of this stuff, dude, and actually seeing the world, right? It's like when usually people are just fucking on their phones and like they're not witnessing what's happening around them. And some people say that when we pull the trigger, we're excluding ourselves away from the things that are happening and not really involved in the situation. But I find it quite different. I think that when we shoot photos, we're very much like involved and we're seeing everything that's happening. Yeah, I don't know what the end goal of it is, just to make a body of work that I'm proud of, you know?
Augie, there's a saying it kind of goes, I'm paraphrasing this, but it's like, to get fulfillment out of anything you do in life, the output you get out of doing something has to be more than the input you're putting into it, right? So what are you getting out of everything that you're doing right now that makes this worth it?
To make this worth what we're doing right now? I don't know. It gives me time to ponder. It gives me time to be thankful. Keeps me off my phone. Dude, I find it incredibly fulfilling to document life and then get to talk to random people and learn about their fucking struggles or their accolades. You know, if they're fucking succeeding and you take the photo, they'll tell you about it. And, you know, you're a part of life. You're not just existing within life, you know?
Yeah, what's your favorite photo book?
In terms of design, right? In terms of just design, it's gonna sound like Daniel's pickpocket book, in terms of design, was fantastic. It was done by the Safdie brothers. But in terms of actual photos, maybe there's a Chris Killip book. I forget the name of it. I really love, where he documents South Wales, like packing district. Really incredible images. William Klein's Tokyo book is probably one of my favorites, or William Klein's New York is Good and Good for You, which is one of the most sought after street photo books of all time, right? I was telling you earlier about that Apology podcast. So they interviewed Daniel Arnold and Jerry Hsu. And Jerry Hsu is talking about this book called Dirty Windows, photo book here in New York City. And this woman, forget her name, she had this window in her apartment that opened up to another window across that was like a prostitution club. And so she would have this telephoto lens on a tripod, the same spot every time. And she would sit at her window and just shoot the most fucking outrageous business guys doing cocaine, prostitutes getting fucked. It was just like, it's just really, and you would think it's this dirty, dirty book, like in terms of like awe factor, but the photos are really kind of blurry and gorgeous, you know? So it kind of plays on this like, like it meshes together. You saw it too, didn't you?
That was beautiful.
What's a favorite photo of yours that you've taken?
One is one of the Amish photos I took when I was out there. It was during a snowstorm in Woodward, and this dad and son, they were stuck. Their cart was stuck with a bunch of manure on it, like full of shit, I think. And they were trying to get it unstuck, so I got a photo of the son and dad walking back with their dog running right between the middle of them. One of my favorite images I've ever taken. And then there's one in East Williamsburg, another black and white. of these two kids playing with these toy like paper planes, but they're actual planes. And I hand them one. I shot this photo, and the photo is just so innocent and just so pure, and I love that image too.
Finish the sentence. I take photos because.
I take photos because I want to document life as it's happening around me. When I make my photo books, they're like history books, bro. It's like you're actually making it like they're. When you go to school and they give you the textbook with all the pictures in it, it's talking about history. You know, if you do it right, you're capturing history here. Whether it be the best way of capturing it, not my call to make, but I take photos because I want to capture life as it's unfolding around me wherever I'm at. And I want to have a body of work that when I pass away, people are like, you know, look at this guy. He experienced the world. He didn't just live, he experienced. And I pride myself on this. My photos showcase not only me living within the world, but my involvement with the world, you know? And I think that's really important in a world where we're so detached.
All right, that's gonna do it. That is gonna do it for today's episode. Augie, thanks for hanging out with me today.
No worries.
Let the people know where they show you some love.
Okay, my YouTube channel, you should go watch the Out of the West series I just put up. My website, I have pre-orders for my next book called Out of the West, which you can see how all the images that I captured while I was in Africa, how they were created and then the environments that they were captured in. So yeah, find me on Instagram at Austin Augie. We just had a cappuccino. I feel very like let's fucking go for another 4 hours, but we're gonna hit Dashwood Books. If you are a photographer in New York City, I would come here, get your knowledge on, because they have a vast array of fucking best photo books this side of the Mississippi. So, Paulie, also I appreciate you, what you're doing. This is sick. Had a good day today.
All right, man.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Now when they see us in the streets, all they wanna do is take